Hello, down from Eflowtion Support Services here, and apologies for wearing the sunglasses. I'm basically staring directly into the sun. This is my view. It's a cool morning this morning. I think it's about, last I checked it was about 8 degrees. It's probably heated up by now. I was just trying to do a video before. It just wasn't quite working for me. I'll still post it. Because the video was working, it was just I wasn't working. But I thought I'd do a follow-up video because I sort of said that I'd touch upon NI, or Introverted Intuition, for the INFJ chat. I mean, it's basically just a gathering in function of the Myers-Briggs type functions, the INFJ being just one of them. I've heard descriptions of it being like it's like a funnel sort of thing. Everything funnels down to a point, and we sort of use our auxiliary functions like the introverted thinking to gain sort of some knowledge or logical outcome of what we're gathering in. I do see a lot of things like it's almost like an aspiration in a way, like to have that little INFJ an acronym, but it is a bit of a curse because it's not a fun thing to live with. And it can be quite isolating as well, and it leads to a lot of misconceptions of oneself by those around us, and that it's like, because it presents itself in ways that can either be misleading or misinterpreted by people. And what I mean by that is, like, in some ways, because it gathers in a lot of information, it just doesn't like gather in information and just discard it. It's like this little NI Google Cloud sort of thing that has all this information stored away that I'm not even aware of. And it can call upon that information in conversations and sort of situations, and it can actually make you seem smarter than what you actually are, which is quite interesting, because it calls forth this information where, like, on a sensor sort of level, like the sensors and that, like they like their information factual, like they need that tangible data. They need a concrete base to build upon their awareness of the world, whereas like an intuitive, it's like we just know things, but we don't have the concrete backing sort of thing. It's like what we know might be accurate. It's just like to explain that to someone that needs that concrete facts is quite hard, and to explain it comes in a very metaphorical sort of a description sort of thing, which loses people's interest and attention spans, even though what we might be saying is spot on, dead on, accurate to like whatever the situation is. It's like if you take concrete sort of thing, they just don't lay the cement and then just start building upon that without it actually drying first. It needs a firm foundation, and it's the same with knowledge sort of thing. It's like they need that firm framework, whereas like an intuitive, it's like we've built the building theoretically or metaphorically, but we don't have the we've got nothing for people to substantially walk upon any substantial steps sort of thing, whereas a sensor will build those steps as they go sort of thing. As a metaphorical, once again, I know what I'm perceiving is correct, but I still need to actually put that into a physical sensory form sort of thing. So even though, like, say with the Taoism sort of thing, it's like I'm grasping sort of the concepts a bit quicker, because it's just how my mind thinks. It's just a metaphorical mind that I work in, and it's like basically a lot of metaphorical concepts in Taoism. So it's just sort of a natural fit, but it's also, I need to be able to demonstrate that, and I can demonstrate it to some regard, but it's also like it's a lot bigger than me sort of thing. So there's sort of certain things that even with introverted intuition, it can be a falling short. And as I said before, people can get the wrong idea about, oh well, this person seems to know a lot. And it's like, I might know a lot, but it's also like I need that application. A prime example was the trauma videos that I did, where like I'm saying, like people confuse me sometimes for a psychologist and that, because like I just have that information. It's just because I've used it to actually help heal myself. But I was saying this, the somatic experience, this sort of thing, like the difference between me, like having trauma knowledge, and for my somatic experiencer, that's their foundation of training is trauma, is me sort of going, well, I've attended a few somatic experiencing appointments and I've done some of the exercises sort of thing, so therefore I sort of know. So it's like it's false. It's like I can grasp the concepts of somatic experiencing, the trauma for psychology, psychotherapy. But it takes the training, the application, the actually testing of knowledge, the case studies, all these sorts of things, to actually become a certified somatic experiencer, like a psychotherapist. And it's the same with the EFT. Like we had to do all case studies and everything like that, and work on ourselves to actually become certified in EFT tapping. And same with the same breath. So I guess with Introverted Intuition, it's a very good function in the sense of like it's a fun function as well. It's like it can keep you well entertained with the information. It's a very silly function sometimes, but it has its drawbacks, and it's probably not something to inspire to. As far as like, oh, it's like some sort of magical thing. It's really not. It's a bit of a curse. It's hard to, with the pattern seeking, like, because it's coupled with that extroverted feeling. Like you are sort of seeing people where a bit beneath the surface sort of thing, which does lead to being excluded from society in a bit, because people tend, it's like, say if like behind these glasses I have a black eye. I don't have a black eye, but like hypothetically, it's like these glasses, like they're trying to keep hidden a black eye, and then I as a INFJ come along and go, oh, you've got a black eye, and it's like, how do you see this sort of thing? It's like, because their persona, their mask, what they're trying to cover up is, I don't want to say easy, but it's kind of easy to see beneath. And when you touch upon those vulnerabilities on people, that's where you get either accepted or pushed away. And a lot of my experience has been just being pushed away. So it's one of those, like, if you're aspiring to be it, it's like trying to aspire to social exclusion sort of thing, because it's not that great of a thing, because you are seeing human behavior. You are seeing where they say one thing and clearly they're doing another, or they're presenting an image of themselves and you're sort of like, they're going, doesn't quite add up. And then you might also make this silly mistake of like, well, I'll just let other people know just in case, and like we can all help this person. And then it's like you get seen as a trouble starter. It's like, so it's like it is a bit of an isolating function. It does gather in a lot of things. It does see patterns. It can somewhat predict, although I don't use that word. It's just sort of like, if something, it's kind of like, take this beat for example. So there's a good chance that it's not going to start doing another beat. And it's like that with human behavior sort of thing. It does certain patterns. If they're happy, sad, angry, if there's certain patterns to what they do, then it's actually, if there's no change to that behavior, we pick up on these things, and that becomes kind of like the prediction. So there might be another beep wow, I saw that coming. So it's like it's like that with human behavior. If there's no change to behavior, then what was happening before will happen again. And that's tends to be what I pick up on, at least. I mean, it's quite handy when it comes to EFT and those sorts of things, like where I can apply it in a job profession, in a relationship position, in a friendship position, and all that. I can't turn that off. Like, imagine that 24 hours a day, subconsciously or consciously, sort of thing. Not the beeping, but just that pattern picking up on. It's not fun. It's not nice to be able to do that. It can be quite helpful, but it's also lends yourself to being the 24-hour psychologist for some people, which can also be quite draining, because I have needs as well. I like to be recognized, I like to be seen, I like to be valued as well. But if it all goes one way, because once again, if someone really likes hearing having their beeping heard, then you're the one that's always having to hear that sort of thing, and it can be very draining for oneself. So that's the other side of the coin for this introverted intuition plus that extroverted feeling, is that people like to be seen and heard, which for myself it's very easy. It's like, I think where some of the INFJ stuff is like, that isolation is like, it's quite easy for us to see other people. It's very hard for us to be seen and valued ourselves, sort of thing. So there is also that isolation, social isolation. It's and it's very hard to find that same sort of acceptance, that same sort of level of acceptance, that depth, I think I'm trying to say. Because once again, it's like everyone wants to be heard, but it's hard to actually have that reciprocation. I think it's like that nature is coming alive. But yeah, so I won't make this too long, but I think what I'm trying to say is, like, with that introverted intuition, there's a lot of pattern seeking, there's a lot of we do gather in information, but also that information is linked to other information. It's not isolated. So whereas a sensor might just build one building, our framework has built that building, has moved on to another building, has moved on to another building. They're all connected, sort of thing. They might not have any solid foundation to it, although what they represent is accurate. But the information is not isolated by itself, and it's the same with human behavior. Like, one person's human behavior is not quite unique to another person's. There's going to be a modification. It's kind of like music, sort of thing. You can modify notes to a certain degree, but at the end of the day, it's all the same notes. And so where that all interlinks is where one person may do the same thing. It's kind of predictable that someone else might do it. That beeping sort of thing, there's another truck that probably makes the same sort of beeping, maybe a different pitch. So where I'm going with that is it all interlinks anyway. So not to say that intuitives aren't smart. We're probably a lot more smart than we actually give ourselves credit for, but it's also having that foundation for the rest of the world to understand. I think I'll end that now, and I'll go on my way. I've got a busy day ahead, so I better go do that. So yeah, I'm from Eflowtion Support Services, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.